For this video, I'm going to pick up where I left off with lists. I'm going to go through, I think I did change lists. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. If I already covered it, that's fine. We'll just go over some of it again. Never hurts. All right, and I'm going to try to get through most of the end of lists. All right, so for this one, we're just trying to look at how to change list items. So tuples you can't change, but lists you can change. So when we get to tuples, I'll go over some interesting things there. For this one, we're just saying that we want to change one of the items in this list. We have a list. It's called this list equals, and then within this list, and for lists, you're going to use the brackets. For tuples, you're going to use parentheses. We're going to change the item that's referred with the index number. This is 1. So apple is 0, banana is 1. So it should change banana to black currant. If I try that, that's what we see right there. All right. So I think I've went over some of this, so we will, I'll kind of skip through some of these. We'll look at maybe every other one. Change the second value by replacing it with 2 new values. Okay, so the second value with 2 new values. So we're looking at changing 1 through 2, black currant watermelon. So when we try this, it should come back and say apple, black currant, watermelon, and cherry. There we go. All right. Okay, so change the third value by replacing it with 1 value. So this one we're going to change the second and third value. Okay, so by replacing it with 1 value. So we're going to change, looks like 1, so that's banana, and then cherry, that would be number 2. So apple 0, 1, 2. This is saying it's going through 3. So 3 wouldn't be necessarily, remember when you're using the through, it's not going to update the third one. So, and if it does, it should say watermelon 3 times. But from what I can see here, it should say apple, watermelon, watermelon. But let's try this one. No, just watermelon 1. So it's actually swapping out anything beyond the number 1. So that's good to know. All right. There's some nuances with it. You just have to practice with the coding over and over quite a bit. You got to get some repetition. It's like anything. If you want to start to remember it, if you just learn it once or twice, you don't use it for a while. It's not the end of the world. At least you are familiar with some of the syntax, but you're going to have to come back and revisit the part of the syntax that you don't use in a repetitive fashion from time to time. Okay, so to insert a new list item without replacing any of the list item, we're just going to insert. So insert puts this at the beginning. So it looks like insert watermelon as the third item. Okay, so insert 2, so 0, 1, and then 2 would be before cherry then. So it should be apple, banana, watermelon, cherry. Okay, and that's what it does. So some of this I'm a little more familiar with than other items. I'm gonna come back and do the test at the very end, so I can kind of get through some of this. This one's pretty straightforward. Append. You're gonna append at the end. So it should say apple, banana, cherry, and then this list dot append is orange, and then print this list. So it should come back and say orange at the end. All right. Insert again, we just went over that one. So you're going to insert and then 1. So apple should put orange before banana. There we go. Okay. All right. And extend. So here we have a list called tropical, and it's got mango, pineapple, and papaya, all tropical fruits. We want to extend. So it's going to put this at the very end of this list. So apple, banana, cherry. There we go at the very end. Mango, pineapple, papaya. Okay. So some of this is pretty straightforward. We can actually add a tuple to a list. Haven't really went over tuples yet, but again, you can't change the list for a tuple. You can change a list. Here we're just saying we have a tuple. It's kiwi and orange, and we're going to add it, extend. So put it at the very end of this list. So there we go. All right. And again, I'll come back and do the practice ones at the very end. It'll let me do some of those. Remove. So if you're trying to remove something, we're going to remove banana. So this list dot remove banana. Pretty straightforward. Takes out banana. Let's see here. Pop, remove specified index. So here we're saying this list dot pop one. So we want to remove the first item. Should be banana. Yeah, I'm just going to take that one out also. Okay, let's go down here. Another way to remove an item, you can use delete and then this list 0. So this list equals apple, banana, cherry. 0 should be apple. See what that looks like. Yep, so it's going to take out apple. Okay. And then clear the list. That will actually clear, just dot clear. Clears the whole list out, so it should come back with nothing. Okay. All right, loop list. That's where it gets a little more interesting. This list, so equals apple, banana, cherry for X. All X means is that it's going to use that as a placeholder for the list. So it's going to cycle through all of these in this particular list. So for X in this list, print X. And it's basically going to say, okay, for X in this list, it's going to print apple, banana, cherry. But it's not going to show it in a horizontal fashion. It should put it in more of a vertical fashion. There we go. Apple, banana, cherry. So more vertical up and down. Okay. Loop. So for I in range, so the range is pretty much all the words within this particular list. Print this list I. A similar is going to go through all of these and should put these in a vertical fashion as well. Yeah, there we go. So it's just another way to do what we did. And you could do something like, the variable doesn't really matter. So that says I, you can actually make that, actually we'll just make it a B so it's a little different. And it should come back with the same thing. Let that do a little spinning here for a second. Apple, banana, cherry. So the variable itself over here is just a placeholder. The syntax is more important. Okay. Using a while loop, you can loop through the list items using a while loop. So what we're saying here is for I, so I again, it's just a placeholder for the list, it equals 0. Now, while it's going through the list, so we're going to use the length function to determine the length list. It's 3 right now. It's going to start at 0 and loop its way through. So you're always going to add 1 at the end, but it's going to say while I is less than the length. So if it's less than 3, it's going to come back and just start that loop all over again. So it'll come through and say, apple, okay, let's print this. Then let's go back again. Oh, we're still banana since we're still less than the length. And then the last one, cherry. And then once it gets to cherry, at that point, I becomes greater than length and it will stop it. So there we go. Hope that makes a little bit of sense. Sometimes even when I get some of the information right, I'm still kind of new to Python. So even if I get the answer right, sometimes I still have to go back and look at exactly how I got it right. So just because you can get the answer right doesn't mean you know it. Sometimes I learn more from getting the answer wrong than I do getting the answer right. Okay, list comprehension. This one's called fruits. Got a couple of different fruits in here. New list. This is called, it's pretty much just a clear list right now. Again, it's just a placeholder X. If we see A in X, then new list append, and then print the new list. So we should see a new list. Basically what it's saying is I want to make a list of any of these words that have A in them. So apple, banana, and mango should come back. Apple, banana, mango. Okay. All right. I know it's a little confusing. This is just another way to say that you're just writing this pretty much through versus using a for. So for X, that's the expression. So X for X, and that means that this one stands for item in the variable fruits. If there's an A and X, then print the new list. It's another way of saying this. Again, there's so many nuances to this language. It's one of the things that makes it fascinating, but a little challenging at times. So that should give me pretty much a similar breakout. Apple, banana, mango. Okay. All right. And I think I even looked this up. What's the reason used for X? It's just a placeholder. And then I had to go back and look up a couple of different definitions for what's an iterable object in Python, because it does go over that a little bit in some of the some of this particular section. Okay. So syntax, iterable, yeah, so that was in here. So this is sort of how that reads. X, or wherever that is, it's for an expression. So X, and then 4, and then X, so that's the item in the iterable, which is fruits, if condition A equals true. In this particular instance, it's saying, is it true that there's an A within X, which is fruits? Okay. Condition, similar. This is just a couple different ways to write this. And basically it's just like setting a filter, and it's looking to see if certain values are true. So this sort of gives you kind of a quick breakout. You can use the range function to create an iterable. Let's see sort of what that looks like. So basically saying I just want to create a range through 10, basically 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So and that's through 10, basically. All right. So actually, the 0 would be 1, so it would be 1 through 10, because 0 would be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that one's a little quirky, but it's technically giving you back 10 numbers, just counting 0 as number 1. Okay. All right. So this is just kind of a quick breakout of various list comprehension topics. This one's pretty interesting. Return. So expression can also contain conditions, not like a filter, but as a way to manipulate the outcome. So return orange instead of banana. So if you have a list here, and we're saying for the expression, and then if X, and if we see a banana, we want to replace that with orange. So that's pretty much what that's saying. So again, a lot of interesting things. I'll do kind of a quick test on the when I get down here to the exercises. Okay, so here you can sort it alphanumerically. So sort, this automatically sorts this ascending. So it should go banana. I'll see if I can remember my ABCs. All right, so you're gonna have banana because B comes first, and then K for kiwi, then M for mango, and then O for orange, and pineapple should be last. There we go. Ooh. All right. Okay, same thing. Should put the numbers in order. So 100, 50, 65. It should put 23, then 50, then 65, then 82, and 100 in that order. Okay. Descending. So this would actually put it reverse. So it's actually going to start with the last one. So pineapple should be first on this one. There we go. All right. Same thing. Numbers. So it'll have the high number first. 100. There we go. Okay. Copy, or no, next one. Can actually use absolute functions. So you have to research that a little bit more if you want to get familiar with that. That can be a little tricky. So I'll go over that here separately in a different video. That, and it doesn't cover absolute functions in a whole lot of detail up to this point. Sort. So capital letters, that's just going to make this one sort it by capital. So sort method, case sensitive, capital letters will be sorted before lowercase. So it should say orange and kiwi first. And then this one, lower. So you can actually set it to where it sorts lower, but you have to designate it. String, key equals string, lower. So it should show the lower ones first, banana, cherry, and then capital K, capital O for kiwi and orange. Okay, reverse order, you can actually set that, reverses the current order. Copy list, this one's pretty good to know. So if you want to copy a list, we're saying this is the list, apple, banana, cherry, and then my list equals this list dot copy. Now, you cannot copy a list simply by saying, say, list 2 equals list 1. Because list 2 would only be a reference to list 1. Changes made to list 1 will automatically be made to list 2. We're not looking to necessarily make an update to this one. So that's why you want to make a sort of a separate variable and use the name of the variable and then dot and then copy. Okay, use this list. So now we're going to print this list. My list equals list this list, and then print this one here is going to come back to same because we're not making a whole lot of major changes at the moment. So that one's still the same. So, but there may be some times when you want to make a particular list, copy it. Joining lists, now, this is where you have a couple different lists. You have a string, so you have list one and then list two. So list three is just going to be list one plus list two. And then it should say ABC and then 1, 2, 3. ABC 1, 2, 3. Okay, one or two of these they trick you on a little bit, but there's another way for X for the expression in list two, append list one append. So this one um, we're actually going to start with list two, and we're going to add list one. So it should say 1, 2, 3, and then ABC if I'm correct. No, I was a little backwards on that one. That's fine. Okay, because I thought it was a pen. Okay, so we're still appending that to the first one. All right. Extend. Maybe this is one I was getting a little confused with. Add elements from one list to another, ABC, and then 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to extend list one. Extend. This is one where we'll say ABC 1, 2, 3, but we're just adding that on. So that's another way to do it. Okay, and then this here's pretty good. It's just a quick little highlight a different type of list. So basically, you're gonna have the variable and then dot and then whatever the list method you're using. Again, just go add the bookmarks. So let's run through some of these exercises. See if we can go through some of these. All right. So what will be the result of the following syntax? We'll kind of do a couple of random ones here. Apple, banana, cherry. So this is called my list. We're going to print my list 1. So apple 0, bananas 1. So this should come back and say banana. Okay. What will be the result of the following syntax? My list, apple, banana, banana, cherry. So we're saying 0, 1, 2 should be banana also. Okay. List items cannot be removed. False. You can actually remove a list item. This list equals apple, banana, cherry. Print the length of it. So you would actually use len because we haven't. There's at no point have I had to use length or size when I type anything. So just this one's pretty simple. Okay, let's go down here. Let's try one of these other ones. This was a difficult one. Was comprehension. Certainly more difficult than some of the others. So fruits equals apple, banana, cherry. We have a new list for expression for item in fruits if X equals banana. So the new list. So we want for expression in X banana. So we're trying to see if there's banana in this. Apple, cherry is what we're saying here, but we're looking for a banana. I want to say it's true, but I don't know if they're looking for the output or that. Okay, so they're looking for the actual output. Okay. So we got that one right, but I probably want to go back and double check that question. Because, again, I knew what the output was, but I wasn't sure what they were looking for because they gave you true as an option. Fruits, apple, banana, cherry. New list, so X blank X in fruits. So X for X in fruits. Let's see if I got that right. Okay. Fruits equals apple, banana, cherry. New list equals apple for X in fruits. Okay, so this is similar to the other one. Fruits is apple, banana, cherry, and then new list we're saying apple for X in fruits. This one's a little different because we're not looking for the word, say, banana at the end. It's saying, is there an apple for X in fruits? Well, yes. So that to me sounds like they are just wanting to see. No, okay. So they are looking again for the phrase apple. So what will be the value of the new list? So it looks like we're replacing apple with everything then, if that's the case. So I almost want to say apple, apple, apple. Okay. Again, just because I get some of these right or wrong doesn't mean I'm completely familiar with them. Sometimes it's lucky guess, and sometimes I just need to go back and do a little practice. And again, a lot of times I tend to learn more when I get things wrong. So if I get something wrong, rest assured I usually go back and try to get that, and I usually don't make that same mistake twice. Hopefully not, at least. All right. So hopefully, definitely not third time. What is a correct syntax for joining list and list 2 into list 3? Okay, so we have list 3, list 1 plus list 2. So this is where we can actually join the list. Okay. Correct syntax for adding elements, list 1 into list 2. So we're adding elements from list 2 into list. So list 1 dot extend list 2. I think extend is one. We use extend, append, insert, join, or push. I don't remember using. So consider the following code: list 1 ABC, list 2 1 2 3. For X in list 2, append X. So if we're appending it, that's going to go at the end. So list 1, append X in list 2. So it should be ABC and then 1 2 3. Okay, there we go. All right, so a little challenging for this one, but we got through some of those. Let me merge you loop. Just one more. Let's kind of run through loop here. What is the correct syntax for looping through the items of a list? So for X in Apple, okay, at no point did I, let me see, for X in Apple, banana, cherry. This one's a little tricky because sometimes I feel like I see the colon, but sometimes not. Without guessing, I want to say I'm going to keep that. It's pretty much set up the same. So one's got a colon, one doesn't. That one, there's no space. I don't think that one's it. So that one, okay. So the colon does matter in that one. So something you probably want to double check on is use of a colon within Python. My list equals apple, banana, cherry. Got it. I equals 0 while I is less than the length of my list. Print my list, I plus 1. That should be good to go. Okay. What is the correct syntax for looping through the items of a list? Okay, so looping through the items. Print X for X in apple, banana, cherry. For X in apple, banana, cherry. Print X. And then I really don't feel like the second one is one that we've used with any of the syntax. Usually you're going to start with for the expression in the item or the items, print X. Whoops, forgot to hit one altogether. Nope. So I want to say it's one of these two then. Nope. Okay, I am wrong on this one. So print X for X in apple, banana, cherry. That one's a little different. I understand why they had the brackets there, but at no point did I use that exact syntax from what I remember. So I'll probably want to double check that one. So, all right. But as you can see, I'm glad I went through loop lists. So sometimes just good just to get a little extra practice. That concludes lists. If you have any specific questions, let me know. Feel free to connect with me. If you're on YouTube or Substack, feel free to leave a comment. If you're just watching this through a Classroom environment, feel free to see me in person or send me an email or a message. All right. Thank you very much.